All right, moving on. QB 13. QB 13 is Joe Fagnano from UConn, from the Connecticut Huskies. Yes, we're talking UConn football here, not UConn basketball. Joe Fagnano from UConn is QB 13 in this class, standing at 6'3", 226 pounds. Unfortunately, Joe has played a lot of football in his career, which is good, but it also hurts his case because he's 25 years old, just turned 25.1, and not getting any younger. That is older than a lot of quarterbacks in the league, such as Jackson Dart, Drake May, Caleb Williams, guys like that. He's played 6 full seasons in college. So he played 3 at Maine and 3 at UConn. However, the starting record here, I'm only pulling the UConn starts in the FBS level. Like we said, we're going to separate FCS competition here. He only started 19 games at UConn, which is fine. 13-6 as a starter, which is probably the best starting quarterback record UConn has seen in like the last decade or however many years. I don't even know. But he brought UConn back to a 9-win season, so that's impressive. They might have won 10 games. I forget. Either way, 9 or 10 games. Brought UConn back to relevancy. He had a really good season for the Connecticut Huskies. So this is a solid game manager, good size, fine arm, not a tremendous athlete, not going to wow you with anything, but really good at the intermediate short throws, underneath stuff, accurate underneath. Takes what the defense gives him. I know that's kind of cliche to say. Good game manager, kind of more of a point guard for UConn this past year. Now, one caveat, this guy had Skylar Bell on his team, so star wide receiver from UConn, Skylar Bell, one of the best receivers in this draft class, honestly, maybe a top 10 receiver in the class. So I'm not going to knock Fagnano for his stats for throwing to Skylar Bell. I always say, like, what do you want him to do? Not throw to the guy who's wide open, who's getting wide open like Skylar Bell every time. So that you can't ding Fagnano for that, but he did have one of the best receivers the UConn's ever seen. So that kind of boosted his passing totals a little bit, but still an 87 PFF grade. So we'll get into the stats here. Basic passing stats, 69 completion percentage. Like I said, that's very good. Not adjusted at all. So that's 69 completion percentage. A lot of those are going to Skylar Bell. Almost 3,500 passing yards. So 3,448 total passing yards. Again, I want to say like 1,300 of those went to Skylar Bell or something. He was up for Blindikoff, I believe. So phenomenal season for them. But you got to use your best receiver. You got to throw to your guy. So he averaged 8.3 yards per pass, which is very good. His touchdown to interception ratio was, listen to this, 28-1. Fagnano threw 28 touchdowns and only 1 interception this past year. That's insane, man. I mean, that was Marcus Mariota level stuff back at Oregon back in his Heisman season. So only 15 total sacks, which is really escaping pressure, very good against pressure, throwing it away, smart player, high IQ processor, 161 passer rating, which was one of the highest in the country. It's a very good passer rating for Joe. Now let's get into advanced metrics. Like I said, 87 PFF grade. So it's not just being a game manager. That's doing a little more than that. That's being extremely efficient and extremely on time. 86.6 PFN score. So the Pro Football Network score, similar grade to PFF, 86.6. However, the QBR dips a little. I think this has a little bit to do with his lack of running ability, lack of rushing threat. 69.3 QBR only, which is a little lower of the QBs on this list. However, the adjusting completion percentage goes back up to 78.2, which is high-level stuff. I mean, like you said, that's almost as high as Pavia's, which was like 79 or something. High-level stuff for Joe. Again, very good point guard role, game manager, solid, whatever you want to call him. And the wins above average was 0.426. So solid player, was helping his team, was elevating those around him, even if he was being helped out a little bit by Skylar Bell. We're not going to knock him for that. NFL Combine the next gen stats and the score breakdown here. So production score, Joe had a 65 production score, which was 12th among these 15 quarterbacks. 74 athleticism score, which was 8th among these quarterbacks, which is solid, right in the middle. and then a total score of 69, which was 12th among these quarterbacks. Checking at 12th in the combine of the quarterbacks is my QB 13, so I feel pretty comfortable with that ranking there. Let's go over some strengths and weaknesses for Joe here. So, like I said, strength of his is played a lot of football in his day, has seen a lot of things, has seen a lot of coverages. You're not going to throw this guy off with a lot of disguising coverages or just whatever defensive fronts are coming at him. This guy has seen it. This guy knows how to audible. This guy knows how to throw off a defense, take what they give him. And, you're not going to have to worry about that. So, he elevated a UConn team to 9 wins. So elevated a UConn team. We talked about elevating others around you, being a leader, being that charisma, personality. This guy has it. This guy has won at the highest level. Like we said, jumping from Maine in the FCS to the FBS. Leading a UConn Huskies football team, again, not basketball, not UConn basketball, a UConn football team to 9 wins. I don't care who the quarterback is. That's impressive nonetheless. So, weaknesses. Like we just said, a weakness, this is out of his control, but he can't help that he's 2 years older than Drake May and Jackson Dart and Caleb Williams. 2 years older, just turned 25. You can't go back and change that. I'm sorry. I played 6 years. I prefer the quarterbacks who only played 3 years in college, and then it's like we get 3 extra years to develop them. So that's just me. Not every draft scout or draft analyst cares about age. I do value that a little bit more. So, yeah. Not the greatest athlete. Now, I want to be careful here because he was 8th on the athleticism score at the combine. So, what I mean by that is he's never going to get outside the pocket and run. He's not going to, be running and picking up first downs. Even, guys like Ty Simpson and Mendoza are doing that. You see guys like Mendoza running for first downs on third down or whatever, can use their legs a little bit more, a couple hundred rushing yards. I don't think you're ever going to see Fagnano take off and run for first down. So, and then last weakness, again, this is kind of out of his control, but he played against inferior competition for years. He dominated inferior competition for many years. He can't help that. Again, someone once asked me, would you rather they not dominate inferior competition? And it's no, I'd rather you do dominate the bad teams, but I'd also prefer you dominate the good teams too. So you're kind of walking a fine line there when drafting guys from smaller conferences. But that's why you use the combine to split hairs. You use the pro days and the combine to split hairs. I'm a Toledo Rockets fan. You guys know that by now. I use guys like Quinion Mitchell as a best example, as this guy dominated bad competition for years in the MAC. And then you put him on the field with the big dogs at the combine, and he tore it up, and he was fine. And down in Mobile, and they were fine. And now you see Quinion Mitchell on the Eagles secondary already won a Super Bowl. So it is a fine line when looking at the competition they were dominating versus SEC teams, Big Ten teams, stuff like that. So, all right. NFL projection and outlook for Joe. Now, my NFL comp for him is Jack Cohn, former Notre Dame and Wisconsin quarterback. Similar style quarterback, built the same way. It kind of looks similar on the field. Both 6'3", same arm strength, kind of just more of a game manager point guard role. Team fits would be Giants and Eagles, just kind of two teams that may need QB3s on their depth chart. It's another UDFA for me, so I don't expect Joe to get drafted. However, I think his experience and success puts him a little higher than guys like Morton and Pavius. That's all I got on Joe. Solid college career, again, dominating at UConn, but too old for me to draft and not enough big games in college for me.